The rain came hard, slicing through the windshield like cold needles. Sheila gripped the steering wheel tighter, her eyes straining to see the winding road ahead. Thunder rolled above, and the tires of her little sedan skidded just slightly before gripping again. She cursed under her breath. She should have never taken the coastal road alone, but the GPS said it was faster and cheaper. And right now, she was soaked in regret and actual rain. The wipers gave up altogether. She squinted through the blur and noticed faint lights ahead, golden, steady, and far too luxurious to be a gas station. Just as she decided to pull over and wait the storm out, her engine sputtered once, twice, and died completely. Unbelievable, she muttered, pounding the steering wheel. Her phone had no signal. Of course, she was reaching for her emergency kit in the back seat when she saw headlights coming from the other side. A sleek obsidian black car pulled up next to her, long, expensive, and completely out of place on a night like this. The window rolled down, and the first thing she saw was a smug, too perfect smile. Need help, or are you just enjoying the scenic flooding? The man asked, voice like melted velvet and sharp edges. Sheila narrowed her eyes. I'm fine. You're not, he said, glancing at the dead car. And you're going to freeze. She didn't reply. The man stepped out, his umbrella snapping open with a practiced flick. Tall, sharp-jawed, hair slicked back, rain rolling off his long coat. He looked like he'd walked straight out of a magazine spread. I have a villa 10 minutes from here, he said. Warm fire, dry towels, and power. Or you can enjoy your own personal monsoon. And you are? Damian Wolfhart. He extended a hand. Entrepreneur, occasional rescuer of stranded women. She raised an eyebrow. I've heard that one before. I'm sure you have, he said, grinning. But I'm not asking you to trust me. Just not to freeze to death. Against all reason, she got out of the car. Inside his car, the seats were warm. The scent was a mix of leather and something earthy and expensive. He didn't talk much. He just drove like he owned the road. Sheila glanced at him sideways, and something about the confidence in his jawline, his silent self-assurance, set off an involuntary flutter in her stomach. His villa loomed on a rocky cliffside, a modern glass and stone structure lit from within like a glowing ember. He parked with a flick of his wrist, exited, and opened her door like a gentleman in a movie. Arrogant, smug, but damn, he was smooth. Inside, the heat hit her instantly. A fire crackled in the living room hearth. Floor-to-ceiling windows gave a view of the dark sea beyond. She stood dripping on the polished floor, unsure whether to be grateful or annoyed. I'll get you a towel, Damian said, vanishing. She looked around. Every piece of furniture screamed wealth and minimal taste. But it wasn't cold. It was lived in. There was an open book on the table, a half-finished glass of wine. He returned with a towel and a change of clothes. These should fit, he said. You can change in the guest room, second door on the right. She took the towel without a word. When she emerged 10 minutes later in one of his oversized hoodies and drawstring pants, he was waiting in the kitchen, pouring 2 glasses of wine. Thanks, she muttered, accepting the drink. This is not how I expected tonight to go. Damian leaned on the counter, watching her over the rim of his glass. Storms tend to rewrite plans. You should be thankful fate sent you to me. She rolled her eyes. Wow, do you ever say anything without that smirk on your face? He grinned. Wider. Rarely. It's part of the charm. I must have missed the charm part, she said, taking a sip. They stood in silence for a moment, the firelight flickering across the polished floor, shadows dancing behind them. So, what do you do, stranded stranger? He asked. I'm a school librarian, she said, daring him to laugh. He didn't. He just nodded. Books. That makes sense. What's that supposed to mean? You speak like someone who's read too many truths and not enough fairy tales. She didn't know what to say to that, so she just finished her wine. He poured her another. You can stay the night. Roads won't be safe for hours. I don't usually stay at strangers' homes. I don't usually rescue soaked women from dying sedans, he said. Guess we're both making exceptions. She wanted to argue, but the heat from the fire, the wine, and his ridiculous confidence was making her lightheaded. She stepped toward the window, arms folded, watching the rain crash over the sea. He came up beside her. Too close. You know, he said softly, you haven't asked me why I live all the way out here. She didn't turn to him. Because you're a billionaire with control issues? He laughed. Close. I like silence. I like the ocean. And I like things that don't behave. That last part made her glance at him. His eyes lingered on her lips for a beat too long. You've got a storm in you, Sheila. I can see it. Her breath caught. You don't know me. Not yet, he said. And just like that, her skin prickled. From the wine, from the heat, from him. She turned away. Good night, Mr. Wolfhart. He stepped back, smiling like he'd already won. Sleep well, Miss Librarian. Behind her, the fire still burned, but it wasn't the only thing that would keep her up tonight. The morning sun filtered through the sheer curtains like melted gold. Sheila blinked against the light, momentarily disoriented. The bed beneath her was far too soft, the scent in the room far too clean and expensive to be her own place. Then it hit her, the rain, the storm, the arrogant billionaire with the razor-sharp smirk, Damian Wolfhart. She sat up slowly, the oversized hoodie slipping down one bare shoulder. The villa was silent, save for the distant crackle of firewood. And, was that sizzling? She padded out into the hallway barefoot, her curls a wild halo around her face. The air smelled of coffee, garlic, and something buttery. The warmth of the fire welcomed her again as she stepped into the open kitchen and froze. There he was. Damian stood at the stove, barefoot, in nothing but low-slung black joggers. His back muscles shifted with every casual movement. He flipped a pan like he'd done it 100 times, and he was humming some jazzy, careless tune. He glanced over his shoulder, as if he'd known she was watching all along. Of course he had. Morning, sunshine, he said smoothly. You sleep like someone who doesn't get chased by deadlines. I sleep like someone who got caught in a hurricane, she muttered, pulling the hoodie tighter. And I didn't ask for breakfast. You didn't ask for shelter either, he replied, plating scrambled eggs, toast, and grilled tomatoes. But you're welcome. She crossed her arms, watching him with wary eyes. You really expect me to believe a man like you cooks his own breakfast? He handed her a plate and raised a brow. You think I can't handle a pan? I handle billion-dollar contracts. I can handle eggs. She hated how easy his grin made her stomach flutter. You're impossible. And yet, you're still here. She sat at the long kitchen island, keeping her eyes on the food, not on his chest. Definitely not on his abs. You make it very hard to be grateful, she said between bites. You know that? I've been told. He leaned against the counter across from her, sipping coffee like a runway model. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it pulsed. The way he watched her made her feel like a story he was already halfway through reading. So, Mr. Wolfhart, she said, trying to regain control. Do you usually invite strange women into your home? He smirked. Only the ones I want to know better. Her fork paused. You don't even know me. I know enough. She narrowed her eyes. Like what? He set down his cup and stepped forward slowly. You love books because they don't judge. You act like you hate people, but you observe everything. You keep your heart locked up tight. And it frustrates you how easily mine is on display. She stiffened. That's not, he raised a finger. And you pretend I don't get to you, but your cheeks say otherwise. Her face burned. Wow, do you always monologue like this? Only when I want someone to stop pretending they don't want to kiss me. She stood up abruptly, the stool scraping the floor. Her breath was short, her heart pounding far too fast. I think I'll head out now, she said, voice tight. You could, he said calmly, but the roads are still a mess. And I think you're afraid of what happens if you stay. She met his eyes, bold and shaken. Dangerous. You're not used to being told no, are you? No, he said with maddening confidence. But I don't mind earning a yes. She didn't move. Neither did he. The distance between them pulsed like a live wire. Her fingers tightened around her plate. I'm not some prize, she said. No. He leaned in just slightly. You're a storm. And I like getting caught in storms. She dropped her plate in the sink harder than she meant to and walked to the window. The rain had stopped. The sun now lit the sea like liquid silver. Her reflection in the glass was flushed, shaken. She didn't want to admit how deeply his words had gotten under her skin. Behind her, Damian moved quietly, the sound of coffee being poured, dishes being rinsed, like nothing had happened. I'll get dressed, she said without turning. Then I'll go. You can go, he replied, his voice lower now. Or you can stay one more day. The sky's clear, the roads still closed. I've got books, wine, space. She turned just slightly. And what, you? He gave a half smile, the kind that made promises with no words. I'm just the optional challenge. She walked past him slowly, pausing at the stairs. Fine, one more day, but no more games. His smile deepened. I don't play games, Sheila. Yes, you do, she muttered. You just happen to be very good at them. She disappeared up the stairs before he could respond. Alone again in the kitchen, Damian looked down at the coffee cup still warm in his hands. His smirk faded just slightly, replaced by something softer. She'll stay, he whispered to himself. But she won't break easy. He liked that. He liked her. The sun hung high by noon, warming the stone tiles of the terrace outside Damian's villa. Sheila wandered barefoot, her borrowed clothes traded for one of his oversized white button-down shirts and shorts she found in the guest closet. The air smelled of salt and citrus, and beyond the edge of the property, the ocean stretched like a silver sheet beneath the sun. She stood at the edge of the infinity pool, watching the water ripple gently toward the cliff's edge. For a moment, she let herself relax. The wind kissed her skin. Her thoughts went quiet. Then she heard the sliding door open behind her. You found the best view, Damian said, stepping out with that same impossible grace. He wore dark swim trunks, sunglasses pushed up into his hair, and nothing else. He carried a second towel over one shoulder and 2 glasses of cold lemonade. I was enjoying the silence, she said without looking back. Lemonade? He offered. She hesitated before taking the glass. Thanks. He moved closer, standing just beside her, and looked out at the sea. This place is best when it's quiet. Most people don't know what to do when it gets this still. Most people fill silence with words, she replied. He chuckled. And some just glare like they're trying to melt me with their eyes. She looked at him sideways. You ever take anything seriously? He sipped his drink. Not unless it threatens to matter. She hated how that sentence stuck. She took a long drink and stepped toward the water. Do you swim? Every morning, he said. Want to join me? I didn't bring a swimsuit. He shrugged. Neither did I, she turned, startled, as he dove cleanly into the pool with barely a splash. He surfaced near the edge, slicking back his wet hair and grinning up at her. Come on, librarian, he teased. Afraid of a little water? I'm not afraid, she said, placing her glass down. I just don't like games. Then, make it real. Get in. She stared at the shimmering surface, her heart hammering in her chest not from fear, but from the heat in his gaze, the invitation in his voice. She rolled her eyes, unbuttoned the shirt, and slipped into the water in her bra and shorts. It was warm, silky. His eyes didn't leave her. You're a lot of trouble, she muttered, swimming past him. I've been called worse. They swam in silence for a while. Sheila moved gracefully through the water, but she felt his presence near constantly, how close he was, how his gaze burned on her back. At one point, she turned to float, arms spread, face to the sky. He moved beside her, floating too. You look like someone trying to forget something, he said quietly. I am, she replied, her voice softer than she intended. You ever try that? All the time, he admitted. The moment hung, heavy and delicate, like the pause between heartbeats. Then she swam back toward the edge and leaned on the wall, breathing hard. He followed, bracing beside her. Their arms touched. Her skin sparked. You okay? He asked. She nodded. Too much sun. Or too much me, he said, leaning just slightly closer. She looked him dead in the eyes. Don't flatter yourself. I'm not. You're doing all the flattering for me. You're unbearable, but still here. She rolled her eyes and tried to climb out, but her hand slipped on the wet edge. Her foot kicked out, and she gasped as she lost balance, only to be caught. Damian's arms were suddenly around her, steady and strong, his body pressing hers gently to the pool wall. Her breath caught. He didn't speak. His face was inches from hers, droplets of water trailing down his cheek to his bare chest. Her hands had landed on his shoulders, strong, warm, dangerous. Time slowed. His gaze dipped to her lips. She felt her pulse quicken, her chest rising against his. The tension coiled tight between them, thick with heat, salt, and something unnamed. I've got you, he whispered. I didn't ask you to. You didn't have to. She pushed him away, not hard, but enough. She moved toward the steps and climbed out without another word, grabbing her towel and wrapping it around herself. Damian stayed in the water, his expression unreadable. She didn't look back until she was almost at the door. You always do that? She asked. He tilted his head. Do what? Get under people's skin. Or do you save that just for me? He smiled slowly. Only the ones who pretend they don't want me there. She shook her head and disappeared into the villa. Inside the bathroom, She shut the door and leaned against it, heart racing, lips tingling. She stared at herself in the mirror, flushed, wet, breathless, stupid. She muttered to herself, "You're not here for this." But even as she dried her hair and changed, she couldn't stop thinking about the heat of his hands on her waist, or how badly she'd wanted to kiss him back. Outside, Damian floated on his back in the pool, eyes closed to the sky, and smiled to himself. She was unraveling. And so was he. Neither of them was ready for what came next. The afternoon passed in silence. Sheila avoided Damian. She stayed upstairs reading an old novel she pulled from his shelf, trying and failing to concentrate. Her skin still tingled from his touch in the pool. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt his chest against hers, his breath near her lips. The memory played like a song on repeat, annoying, addictive, and far too intimate. Outside, clouds rolled back in, thick and gray, curling over the sea like smoke. The light faded into a soft storm haze. By evening, thunder grumbled again in the distance. Sheila finally left the room when the smell of roasted vegetables and something buttery reached her nose. She followed it downstairs and found Damian in the kitchen again, this time in a fitted black shirt and dark jeans. He looked annoyingly calm, effortless. He glanced at her. "Was starting to think you were hiding." "I was," she said flatly. He chuckled. "Hungry?" She nodded and took a seat, her arms folded. "I don't want more small talk. Or heat." "No heat tonight," he said, handing her a plate. "Just food." Peace offering. They ate in silence. For once, he didn't push, didn't tease. And she hated that. It made her feel more comfortable, not less. After dinner, she stepped out onto the terrace while he cleaned up. The sky was a moody gray, the wind cooler now. Then, with a sudden shiver of thunder, rain returned, soft at first, then steady and insistent. She stood there anyway, letting it soak into her shirt, cooling the fire inside her she hadn't been able to put out all day. The sliding door opened behind her. Damian stepped out slowly, holding an umbrella. But he didn't open it. "You'll get soaked," he said. "I already am," she replied, her voice low, eyes on the darkening sea. He didn't say anything. He just stepped closer. The rain hit both of them now, their clothes slowly darkening, clinging. "I don't get you," she said finally. "You're arrogant. You act like you own the world, but then you cook, you clean, you listen." "I don't think those things are opposites," he said. "I just stopped pretending to be less than I am. And what are you?" He took one more step forward, now just a foot away. "Someone who's tired of pretending," he said. "Someone who likes you more than he expected." She looked up, water sliding down her cheeks like tears. She hadn't cried. "This isn't real," she said. "This house, this storm, it's all temporary." "I don't care," he whispered. His hand reached up, brushing wet hair from her face. She didn't flinch, didn't move. His palm cupped her cheek, his thumb tracing the water at the edge of her jaw. The look in his eyes was no longer teasing. It was raw, unmasked. Then softly, he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't wild, not yet. It was slow, sure, like he'd waited all day for this exact moment. Rain soaked them both, but neither of them cared. His lips moved against hers with a quiet hunger, like he was drinking something sacred. She responded before she knew what she was doing, hands clutching his shirt, pulling him closer, her body melting into his. The storm raged around them, but inside her, something steadier stirred. When they finally broke apart, her forehead rested against his. Her breath trembled. His fingers remained on her jaw. "Why did you do that?" she asked softly. "Because I couldn't not," he whispered. She took a step back, heart pounding, eyes wide. "You're dangerous, Damian. Only if you keep running," he said. "Stay. Let it happen." But she was already shaking her head. "This isn't me. I don't fall for men like you." He didn't follow when she stepped inside. She went to her room, shut the door, and collapsed against it, because the truth was, she didn't fall for men like him, but she was falling anyway. The rain hadn't stopped, but the world inside the villa felt quiet, still. Unspoken tension hung in the air like steam on glass. Sheila didn't sleep that night. Her body burned with confusion, her lips still tingling from the kiss. It had been slow, deliberate, and far too perfect. A kiss meant to be remembered, a kiss meant to linger, and it did far too well. By morning, the storm had softened into a misty drizzle. She descended the stairs cautiously, half expecting Damian to act smug or playful or tease her about the kiss. Instead, he was waiting at the bottom of the stairs with a chessboard in his hands. She blinked. "What is this? A truce?" he said simply. "No flirting, no drama, just chess. Unless you're afraid I'll beat you." She smirked. "Try me." They set up in the living room near the fireplace. He poured them tea, this time no wine, no firelight games, just two mismatched mugs and quiet focus. The flames danced behind them, but for once, it wasn't the center of attention. He played well, but not too well. She played better than expected. Every move came with a glance, a smirk, a comment just sharp enough to spark something beneath the surface. After 2 rounds, each of them winning, once he leaned back and pulled out a deck of playing cards. "Poker?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Strip poker if you're feeling brave." She threw a pillow at him, laughing for the first time in days. "Normal poker, you arrogant brat." They played until mid-afternoon, the storm outside forgotten. It felt like something real, not rich, not fake. Just 2 people in a room, laughing over cards and fire. Then the power flickered. A low rumble of thunder followed. Damian stood and added wood to the fire, the light from the flames licking up his arms and casting a soft glow on his face. He looked back at her, more serious now. "Sheila." She glanced up, suddenly aware of how quiet the room had become. His eyes were darker, intense again, that familiar heat flickering back into focus. "Don't," she whispered, even though her voice was already trembling. "I can't help it," he said, slowly walking toward her. "You think I'm all charm and games, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since the first second you cursed me out." "Good," she said, breathless. "You deserved it." He stopped in front of her. "Maybe I did, but I didn't deserve this." "This? You?" he said. "The way you look at me like I'm not untouchable. The way you make me feel like a man, not just a name." Her heart pounded. She tried to get up, but he was already kneeling in front of her, fingers brushing hers with the gentlest touch. "You make me forget everything else, Sheila." "I don't want to be a distraction," she said, though her voice cracked at the edges. "You're not," he whispered. "You're the only thing that feels honest." She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, his hand was on her cheek, soft, warm, and trembling slightly. "Tell me to stop," he said. She didn't. Instead, she leaned forward. This time, the kiss came fast, hungry, intense, and full of every unsaid thing that had been building between them. Her hands clutched his shirt, his fingers tangled in her hair. The room spun, not from dizziness, but from the undeniable chemistry that burst free the moment their lips collided again. He pulled her closer onto his lap, the fire casting dancing shadows across their bodies. His mouth moved to her jaw, her neck, worshipping each inch with reverence and heat. She gasped when his hand slipped beneath the hem of her shirt. "Are you sure?" he asked, voice low, lips brushing her collarbone. She answered by tugging his shirt over his head and tossing it aside. He responded in kind, gently, reverently removing hers, pausing at each new piece of exposed skin like it was a discovery. They made love there by the fire, slow, deep, and devastating. Every kiss was a question, every touch, an answer, every breath, a surrender. When it was over, they lay wrapped in a single throw blanket, bodies tangled, her head on his chest, his fingers lazily tracing circles along her spine. He kissed the top of her head and whispered, "I didn't think you'd stay," she murmured. "I didn't think I'd want to." Outside, the rain whispered against the windows. Inside there, hearts beat in time, wild and warm, but neither of them knew yet that morning would bring more than just sunrise. Sheila woke to soft, gray light and the weight of an arm draped lazily across her waist. For a moment, she let herself stay there, still, warm, tangled in the heat of Damian's body and the quiet rhythm of his breathing. His scent clung to the sheets. His skin was pressed against hers, and for the first time in a long while, she felt like she belonged somewhere. But then she heard it, his voice, low, controlled, from the hallway. She slowly sat up, careful not to wake him. Slipping on his shirt, she padded barefoot to the half-open door. "Yeah, it worked faster than I thought," Damian said on the phone, his back to her. "She's hooked. Shouldn't be a problem. Give it another day." Silence. Then, "No. I didn't say I'd sleep with her." That wasn't the Sheila didn't hear the rest. Her breath left her in a sharp, soundless gasp. She stepped back, fast and quiet, heart racing. Her mind screamed no, not this, not him. But everything made sense now. The arrogance, the charm, the games, the way he said just the right thing, at just the right time, the kiss in the rain, the slow seduction. And last night, God, last night, she felt sick. By the time Damian returned to the room, she was already dressed, her bag packed, her shoes on. Sheila, he said, confused. What's going on? She didn't even look at him. I'll call a cab. The roads are open now, right? He frowned, approaching her carefully. Wait, talk to me. What happened? I heard everything, she snapped, spinning to face him. The call, the bet, she's hooked. Isn't that what you said? Damian's mouth parted, then closed. For once, he looked unsure. She laughed bitterly. Wow, that's the first time you've been speechless. It's not what you think, he said quickly, stepping forward. Yes, there was a bet, but she flinched away. You what? You didn't mean to sleep with me? You didn't plan to make me fall for you? What part of this wasn't fake? His jaw tensed. It started as a stupid challenge, a conversation at a party. Some guy said I couldn't charm a woman who hated my guts. I was drunk and arrogant. But then I met you. And stop. Her voice shook. You don't get to rewrite the story now. I'm not. I'm telling the truth. She stared at him, eyes burning. I let you touch me. I let you in. I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, not every man was out to win something. Sheila, I'm not a game, Damian. I'm not a dare. I'm a woman who thought you were more than a suit and a smirk. His voice was raw now. I didn't cash the bet. I swear to you. I never took anything from it. You took me. Her words hit him like a slap. He didn't move. He just stood there, drenched in guilt. She grabbed her bag and stormed toward the front door. He didn't stop her. He didn't try to hold her back. The cab arrived in minutes. She climbed in without a word. As it pulled away from the villa, the rain started again, light, steady, almost sorrowful. She stared out the window, teeth clenched, trying not to cry. Not again. Not for someone like him. Back inside, Damian stood in the empty doorway, staring into the storm. The villa felt colder without her laughter, without her fire, without her defiance. He walked back to the living room, saw the pillow where they played chess, the spot by the fire where he made love to her. The mug she used still sat on the counter, half full, his hand clenched into a fist. He had everything and ruined it in a single moment. He didn't know if she'd ever forgive him, but he knew one thing for sure. He wanted her back, not for the bet, not for the challenge, but because losing her hurt more than anything he'd ever known. It had been 2 weeks. 2 weeks since the rain, 2 weeks since she left, 2 weeks since Damian's voice, once smooth, confident, magnetic, broke under the weight of her silence. Sheila was back in the city now. The noise, the traffic, the chaos, it all felt louder than before. Or maybe it was just the hollow space in her chest that amplified everything. She kept herself busy at the library, reorganizing shelves, updating catalogs, pretending she hadn't been torn in half by someone who once held her like she was the only real thing in the world. She didn't talk about him, not to her friends, not to herself, but at night, she still felt him, his breath, his lips, the way he said her name like it was the only one worth remembering. She hated him, she missed him, and those two feelings made her even angrier. She told herself he wasn't coming. She told herself she wouldn't care if he did. Then one rainy afternoon, as thunder rolled low above the city, the library door creaked open. She looked up and froze. Damian stood there, soaked from head to toe. No umbrella, no suit, no arrogance in his stance. Just him, vulnerable, drenched, holding a small battered notebook in one hand. For a long time, neither of them said anything. Then he took a slow step forward. I'm not here to win, he said, voice hoarse. I'm not here to charm you. I'm here because I can't breathe without knowing I at least tried. Sheila didn't move. Her fingers clutched the edge of the counter. I lied, he said. Not about how it started. I told you that part. I was an ass. A smug, rich jerk with a stupid challenge and too much pride. But I didn't expect to fall for you. I didn't expect to feel anything real. You unraveled me, Sheila, and I don't want to go back to who I was before you. He placed the notebook on the counter and slid it toward her. She glanced down. It was filled with short entries, pages and pages of his handwriting, letters, observations, regrets, day after day, things he wanted to say but couldn't. Notes from the morning she left up until now. He looked at her, rain dripping from his hair. I'm not asking for a second chance. I'm asking you to read this and know that every word came from the man I became after you left. She slowly picked up the notebook, her hands trembling slightly. She opened it to the first page. Day 1. She's gone. I can't feel my chest. I think I finally understand what loss means, and I deserve it. Her eyes stung. Day 4. I walked into the kitchen and saw her mug. I didn't throw it away. I couldn't. It still smells like cinnamon and her laughter. She looked up at him. His expression didn't waver. I didn't come here to be forgiven. I came here to be honest. She stepped out from behind the desk. Rain drummed on the windows. I hated you, she whispered. I know, he said. I don't know if I still do. I'll wait. For what? For you to decide. She took one more step, standing just in front of him now. You ruined me, she said. I was already ruined when I met you, he said. You just made me realize I wanted to be more. She touched his face. He flinched not from fear, but from the sheer surprise of her softness. Why didn't you lie? She asked. I thought about it, he admitted. But then I remembered your eyes. They don't accept lies. And just like that, something cracked open inside her. Not in pain but in release. Her heart didn't feel so heavy anymore. Her chest didn't ache. She leaned in and kissed him. Not like before. Not wild. Not soft. But real. A kiss that tasted of rain, regret, and renewal. When they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. You're still arrogant, she murmured. And you still drive me insane, he said with a grin. Don't ruin it this time. I won't. Good, she whispered. Because now I want you. Not just your fire, but your truth. And this time, they walked into the rain together. No umbrellas, no defenses. Because wild hearts may run, but they always know where to return.